Okay. Hi, I just wanted to do a quick video of questions that people asked about my trip to Greece. A little bit of background, I work for Carry the Future. I am the blog editor there, and I've been volunteering with them since November, collecting carriers in the Bay Area and working any way that I can to promote the mission. So the first question today is, what were you thinking when you approached your first family, and what were you thinking when you approached your last? So my first family was actually just a little girl, and my thought, the first thought I had was, oh my gosh, is she going to be able to fit in this carrier? Like, are we going to be able to get it tight enough for her to carry a little brother with her? And I was more worried about that than even internalizing the fact that she was going to have to be the one carrying her little brother, because mom had to carry the other baby. So we ran into a lot of families where big siblings were fitted, as well as parents. My last carrier, I don't actually remember. We had one morning ferry, and what more stands out to me is helping a family carry all their stuff to the bus. We were there to fit carriers, yes, but a lot of times they needed help doing anything from figuring out where they needed to go next to carrying all of their belongings onto the bus. So that really stood out to me. The next question is, did you face criticism, and how did you deal with it? What about apathy? When I first started telling people that I was going to be taking this trip, I had a lot of support, but I also had some criticism. I think people thought that I should help here at home, or that somehow I would be going to help ISIS. And I just kind of tried to respond with information. I let people know statistics about the refugees, and I explained to them that these are people who don't have the opportunity to go to a homeless shelter or a food pantry to get the help that they need. And I think here in the States we have this idea that, like, no matter what happens, we're going to be safe. The organizations and there's groups in place to take care of people who need help, and these are people who are leaving behind bombed cities and extreme situations, and I just felt compelled to go. The apathy has come since then. I have had some questions, like from you guys, but I've also had people who have just been like, oh, you're in Greece, that's nice, and move on and tell me about their life, which is frustrating, but I'm learning to brush it off. Another question was, CTF has a very specific need that they meet, that's the baby carriers. What are some similar organizations that have this type of concentrated effort, and are these organizations collaborating in any way? I can start this with some exciting news. I'm headed back to Greece in May, if all things work out, and that's a lot of what I'm going to be doing, is working with a small team to figure out how we can expand CTF. Even since we've been there, last week the situation has changed, and refugees are no longer coming on the ferries every single day and having to walk hundreds of miles, which was the initial need for the baby carriers. So now we have to figure out a way to stay with the core value and the core mission that Carry the Future has, but also look into how can we support the whole woman, how can we support the whole family. What did you learn about yourself, and what was most surprising? I learned that it's possible to fall in love with a place and people and a set amount of time. Since getting back, I've had a really hard time being present here in my own life and not wanting to return to the port. I felt so raw and so passionate and so driven there, and it's hard to replicate that back home, where there's things like bills and changing diapers and getting Marin to school and everything else to think about. I really had an amazing experience and met some absolutely incredible people, and it's hard to leave that behind. So that's probably them. How did you know you were safe, and did anybody screen the people that you were working with? I didn't know I was safe, no less than I know that I'm safe right now sitting in my backyard. I didn't feel that people needed to be screened. People are people, and there was a need, and I was there to fill it one way or the other. It's interesting, actually, on this note. One of the days that we were there was a protest going on, and a teammate of mine looked at me and said, "Did you ever think you would feel safe in this type of situation?" And I don't think I would have back home before going, but I never felt safer. I was surrounded by people that I not only had gotten to know, but were there peacefully protesting for something as basic as the right to leave their homeland for a safer life. So yeah, I don't think I ever felt unsafe once in Piraeus. How are the refugees treated, and what personal interactions with families left a mark? The refugees, when I was there, were basically left alone. It's changed since then, but for the most part, they would come on the boats, and in the beginning of the week, they would take their tents and set up camp at one of the port buildings. By the end, they were being shuttled onto buses that took them to camps, and we didn't see them again. But those that were staying were treated with kindness and love from any volunteers that came by. There were several groups that would come and bring food. We met people giving haircuts.